Before we get into this episode of Through the Years, this episode is sponsored by My Place Hotels. My Place is a proud sponsor of frontstretch.com all season long. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes the perfect pit stop when traveling. Race fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of their nationwide properties. That's 10% with code FRONTSTRETCH. This season, make sure to make My Place your place with My Place Hotels. Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Through the Gears as we get you set for the best bets for Richmond Raceway this weekend on Saturday night. Before we go into that, last week, though, was kind of rough with SVG taking the win, Connor Zilic falling and kind of negating our favorite pick there. That was bizarre for sure. But Connor Zilic will be back for sure. He was plus 550 for that race. Ended up costing himself not even going into the race with that fall after his Xfinity win, after a great battle between those two in that race. It is what it is. He'll get better. Great to see that he doesn't have any more serious injuries on that front. But for the betting front, yeah, that doesn't bode well for the pocketbooks last week. But we go to another short track where we've been so on fire with our picks at short tracks recently, and Richmond Raceway with how it might be the most unpredictable one, honestly, especially this time of year for this track. So we'll see what we can get into. I have Dalton Hopkins coming on the show this week. We'll see who can come on top at Richmond Raceway, and we have great picks lined up for y'all in this episode. So without further ado, let's get into it as we go through the gears at the action track. Join me now once again is Dalton Hopkins. You can find him on Thinking Out Loud on the weekends, on most weekends, that is, and catch him at the track every now and then. Dalton, great to have you on the program here again for Through the Gears.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm always looking at the odds. I don't really bet very often, but I do need to make predictions when it comes to writing Thinking Out Loud and when it comes to stuff on Happy Hour, on our Happy Hour podcast. So this is important to me. These are the odds I pay attention to very often. So I'm ready to dive in. I think we were talking a lot before we started recording, and I think we've got some stuff picked out here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the books look at it sometimes more than us. I say I look at it more in the books personally, just because I think, especially on a week where I get out of town or out of state and I get to go put some odds down on it. But this week we'll be at Richmond. Won't be there, unfortunately. But one point, my home track back from my Navy days. So one time now, that's the biggest thing. One time we're going to Richmond. First time in my lifetime that I know of that NASCAR has moved the Cup Series to a one race deal here at Richmond. How much will that affect the Cup Series drivers in general? Not just your favorites, not just maybe your Austin Dillon type of upset that you could probably see here at Richmond. That's also moving to a Saturday night affair.
Well, if it does affect them, I think it's in the sense that the crew chiefs aren't going to put the crew chiefs and team engineers and what have you. They're not going to put as much effort into researching what Richmond's going to look like, because Richmond, while it is a unique track in its own right, it is still a short track, and we've already been to other short tracks that are similar to it. North Wilkesboro, I think, is very similar to it. You could probably use that as a gauge. I wouldn't necessarily say use Bristol, but maybe Martinsville a little bit. You could use that. Now, when it comes to on-track product, I don't know if you can say it's a good or bad thing, but regardless, that's the kind of stuff that you're looking at right now. Maybe even Bowman Gray. Maybe you could even look at that too. There's some similarities there. So I think you can't use there's no previous Richmond race this year that you can use as a gauge to kind of get a feel of how everyone's going to perform. You have to go back to last year if you really want to get exact specifics of what you're looking for right now. And That's going to be kind of tough because there's been changes since then. So it's going to be kind of tough to really nail down who's hot and who's not.
If it wasn't for the botched repave, I would say Iowa is another place you could potentially use. That's what I used when Iowa first came on the schedule with was a Richmond comparison, which kind of worked, kind of was like, I mean, you got William Byron who won this year, and he's ran well on Richmond in the past. But you have Denny Hamlin, who doesn't run well at all on Iowa the last 2 years we've went, but he is the favorite going in at 4-1 off BetMGM. I mean, and Denny Hamlin has multiple wins here at Richmond. He's been great in the next gen era, and in his own right. Denny's going to be tough, I feel, and he could have, if it wasn't for Dylan's surgence at the end of that race, looked like we could have had Denny Hamlin winning last year, even in this night race.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think anytime you go to Richmond, Denny Hamlin is a threat, right? There's just nothing you can do about it. It makes sense. That's why, at least on the on the Action Network, is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that website, and there are betting odds, and right now the best odds are clearly Denny Hamlin, plus 400. And honestly, you take the combination of Denny Hamlin being the hometown hero, I use that in quotations, but the hometown kid, Joe Gibbs Racing, years of experience, past multi-time winner at Richmond, undoubtedly the clear favorite, right? And not to mention, he's on a hot streak right now. I mean, he's looked fantastic the last few weeks. He's looked fantastic really the whole year, and arguably maybe even the championship favorite in my book. So can definitely see, if you're looking for an absolute favorite, Denny Hamlin is your guy.
I say Denny Hamlin, but then after that, I mean, the only real favorite that has a win in the next gen era here is Kyle Larson at 9-1. Yeah, you have Christopher Bell. We talked about him before the show. Even he's been super close to getting wins in the 20 car. Obviously, running out of time with Kevin Harvick's final career win here at this track in the same race at the same. I was at that race actually. That was a great race to go to, obviously, but you got to compare it more to the night race with Hamlin dominating so much. You didn't really get to see. I didn't really remember Christopher Bell running up there last year when they had the transition to the night, and that 20 car was just outclassed by his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate.
Yeah, I think you look at that. We that's one of the guys we were talking about before this podcast, and we both looked at that and kind of thought, Christopher Bell, huh? And we kind of scratched our heads a little bit. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's kind of, he doesn't have the history of success. I don't really recall him being up there. The past, was it last year we were talking about, or the year before, or whatever? But last year, yeah. But it's Joe Gibbs, man. It's Joe Gibbs Racing, and they've got this place dialed in. I do not want to know what it is. I mean, maybe it's just Toyota. Maybe it's just the Toyota partnership they've got with Richmond. I don't really know how that translates into the actual on-track performance, but somehow, some way, Joe Gibbs Racing is just so darn good here. And I think Christopher Bell, if you've got that Toyota, you don't call it a bow tie. What do you call that? What's their logo?
It's like a little pretzel shaped look.
The pretzel. Let's go with that. I like the pretzel. Yeah.
I like the pretzel,
if you're under the Toyota pretzel this weekend, I think you're one of the front runners. Even if you're like, well, okay, maybe not Legacy Motor Club, but like 2311.
Oh, wow.
They would definitely be one of the guys I'd be looking out for, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, Christopher Bell, look, dude's just so good, and he's good at short tracks. He's good at these kinds of tracks too. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him up there in the top 3 at the end of this race.
And then after that, then my eye immediately jumps to the Penske Fords, because at least 2 of them, because Joey Logano at 10-1. I think he's just overvalued town. I mean, I know he probably should have won an OT. I think he just got put in the right place in the right time for that team. I don't think the 22 team has shown pace down the stretch to win races, and this could be. He's had wins here before, whether it's legal, illegal in the Gen 6 era. What was that? 2015? I remember.
Gosh almighty. I can't remember what year it was, but yeah, it was like the year he didn't make the playoffs, and that was the reason why.
Yeah, it was just so bizarre, like that he had that win, and it was like it was rescinded, and he just didn't make the playoffs after that because it just derailed the season. But I think just 10-1 is kind of it's kind of nuts for Joey Logano up here with how not so great he's ran. I like William Byron more at the 10-1 just from, again, I mean, he just won Iowa. I find a good comp here for Richmond. He's transitioned that speed between those two tracks very well. Ryan Blaney at the 12-1 because I think Ryan Blaney is one of the best guys or best drivers rather, that can transition between the night and the day with that 12 team. So I look at those, and not to ignore Kyle Larson again at the 9-1 number, but I think again it's just it's been a season of hell since Coke 600. So my money just doesn't seem to be good on the number 5 team at the moment. Maybe he's just pulling the old Chad Canals, Jimmy Johnson strat, and they're just saving it for the 10 race playoffs. But out of those 4, who intrigues you the most there, Dalton?
The strat. I like that. The strat,
yeah.
The strat, yeah. That's a gamer term right there.
I've been playing too much with Brian Nolan and Tom.
Oh, geez. Yeah. The influence, the beginning of the ruination. Yeah, no. So look, I'm agree with you with Kyle Larson. Yeah, and you know, now that we're saying this and we're talking down Kyle Larson, he's going to go out and lead like 340 laps this weekend. It's going to happen. So
I called his last win at Bristol, though. To be fair, and Bristol's in the first round too. So that's where I look.
There you go. Yeah, but you know what? Maybe there is something going on there. Cliff Daniels super reminds me of Chad Canals, and like he's very kind of monotoned, very calculated, very analytical, and he's also extremely intelligent. So great leader also. So I can kind of see them kind of playing the strat, as you called it, of Larson not being able to they're just not, they're kind of underperforming right now, maybe on purpose and saving their stuff. But moving on, you mentioned Joey Logano, right? 10-1. I see that too on my screen. And yeah, man, look, he was going to win that race last year. He was going to win that race last year if it weren't for the actions of a certain RCR driver. And I think out of those guys, I know he hasn't had the best of years, but Joey Logano, man, he knows how to win here.
Oh. And
he's been up there at the front at the end of these things. Last year he was going to win it. I wouldn't be, and he was up near the front. He was up near the front of Iowa too, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken. If am I remembering that wrong? There was a race recently.
I don't think so. I don't think it was at Iowa.
You know what? It was the Brickyard. But it was the Brickyard that he was going to win, and then he cut a tire at the end. So I could see that. He just knows how to be up front at the end of these things, man. He and Paul Wolf. He and Big Ball Paul, as they call him.
Big Ball Paul.
Big Ball Paul.
I love that.
He knows how to do it, man, and he knows how to win this track. He knows how to be successful. So he's kind of a sleeper. And there's a reason why he's only 10-1. There's a reason why he's only 10-1.
I'm about to say that's the best odds I've seen from him all season, to be fair. I like calling, I'm about to say, I call Paul Wolf the Wizard.
Wolf the Wizard. Wizard Wolf. I like that.
Wolf.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, was it the Slytherin? The Slytherins and all that?
He's definitely a Slytherin. He's definitely a Slytherin. Yeah.
Paul Wolf is for sure a Slytherin here.
Definitely.
Straight after that, I mean, you got was it, we're calling him Rocket Boy now, and Chase Briscoe at 15-1. I like that.
I haven't heard that.
I know.
I love that.
Here on this, I drop it on this podcast. Me and him talked before Iowa, and we were just talking. It was like, "What are we gonna call you now?" Like, I asked a question in the media after he won the it was
in
the presser after he won the poll
at
Iowa, and I was like, "What are we calling you now?" He didn't know then, and then him and Noah Graxton sitting before pre-race intros, and he's like, "We got to call you Rocket Boy," says Noah Graxton. So that was awesome. So
I love Rocket. That's a great
Rocket
idea.
Boy Briscoe. I like
Rocket
that.
Boy.
Rocket Boy Briscoe.
The son of Rocket Man, Ryan Newman. I love that.
both from Indiana too.
Indiana native. Oh my gosh. It worked. It meshes so well. Wow.
Look, I mean,
great idea.
And his 15-1 number, I think it's very respectful from the Bucks to give him that. I mean, he's right there with Chase. Yeah, he's right there with Chase Elliott at 15-1. We've already praise Joe Gibbs for being fast here.
Mhm.
And I think you're not going to get, if you want to go 15-1 on Chase Briscoe, you're not going to get a better number because Lord knows he's going to get pole number 7 now or whatever it is now. He's just been that fast in qualifying trim and that 19 team. And hey, this is another track where you can really go back. And I say James Small has those Martin Truex Jr.'s notes, and that just makes this 19 team and this car go way quick. And that's what happened in Pocono. And so I'm taking a look. I'm definitely keeping an eye on Chase Briscoe all weekend. I might have him in my prop picks later on, but Briscoe absolutely is a guy I have a key eye on this weekend.
So I'm going to go a little bit further down the value line, and I cannot believe this is the value these guys got. So outright winner, I can kind of believe it actually, but okay, outright winner. I'm looking at 2 guys, both in the same team. Richard Childress Racing. How on earth are they this low? I mean, maybe I can understand like maybe 15-1, 16-1. I get that. I could understand that. But Kyle Busch, who is like Mr. Richmond for the longest time. Anytime he went there, he was the dude. He was the man to beat. And you're going with a team like Richard Childress Racing, who has had success recently. I mean, not winning success, but who has had success running up front.
Well,
I mean,
winning success.
Well, so not winning success. Yeah, well, kind of winning success. Yeah, sure. But look, any team that can make Austin Dillon look really fast at a certain track should be considered very seriously. Okay, and that's exactly what they did with Kyle Busch, or excuse me, that's exactly what they did with Austin Dillon last year, in them winning that race. And Kyle Busch, I mean, you got the experienced veteran once again, multi-time winner at Richmond, and he's with a team like RCR who looks kind of fast at Richmond. And by the way, one of the first teams to test the next gen car at Richmond. So that's something there. And then that's 30-1, like you said. And then we just mentioned Austin Dillon, 50-1, 50-1. And you know what? He's coming off a race where he got a top 10 finish. Oh, geez. Was it last week? He got a top 10 finish.
Yeah, last week.
Was it last week? Yeah, okay. So he just got
he was up there. He was up there.
Yeah. He fresh off a top 10 finish at Watkins Glen, or at least up there, Iowa. I don't know if it was Iowa or Watkins Glen, but what have you. Fresh off a top 10, and I don't have the notes in front of me, but yeah, like he's running fast. He looks good at the short tracks. He looks good, especially at Richmond. Looked great last year. I mean, he was going to win that race. Look, controversy aside, he was going to win that race. If it didn't come down to that overtime restart, that late caution of him literally coming to the line, he was going to win that race, bar none.
Oh yeah.
So, and he still won, by the way. I mean,
his first real win would, if you talk to his critics,
but still won, and he's 50-1. I mean, honestly, I would consider maybe this his last best chance at getting into the playoffs, aside from Daytona. But every driver's last best chance is Daytona, right? I mean, this is
a real chance.
I think this is his real chance of doing it on a non-drafting track without a crapshoot race. Like this is his real last best chance to do it, and I think there's a chance. And 50-1 is just such a good value. How could you not? How could you pass that up?
To clarify, in the last 4 races, rather, he has 3 top 15 finishes with a top 10 at Iowa.
There it is.
I always draw the comparison to. He's fast on those kind of little D-shaped short track races or short tracks that we go to. And yeah, Watkins Glen, I remember he was running top 10 on his strategy and ended up falling down the order again, but still top 15 for him at Watkins Glen is definitely way above his standards. I feel like going into this race again, it might not have counted for the playoffs. You're going as the defending winner, and you touched up on it perfectly because I have my eyes on both RCR cars, and Dillon is definitely the one I have a little bit more eye on just because of its value at 50-1 for sure. But some of the other ones, I mean, RFK Racing, Chris Buescher at 25-1 is about to say at that value is an underdog at 25-1 for a guy who's won this same event 2 years ago with Prosper, Texas being a population of 30,000. Shout out Rick Allen. Like Chris Butcher has to be, and he's in that fight with another guy I think who could win this race if the cards fall right, and that's Ryan Preece at 40-1.
Yeah,
both of those guys, I feel like it's going to be
good pick.
I could see it where both of those RFK Fords are 1-2 come down the wire, and we have one of those. I hate to say playoff moments, but it's going to be a hell of a moment if we see both those guys fighting for the win. And I feel like I could see that. Another Ford, not really in a playoff situation, but I think he could also get up there, who also is at a 40-1 number. Give me Josh Berry as well at 40-1. That's just somebody I have a key eye on and there's a lot of others. Like we haven't even mentioned the 2311 guys. It's just Reddick is not great on the short tracks. And I think Bubba could get a solid top 10 like he did
for sure
after running. How about say after talking to him at Iowa and running from 34th to 6th in the last run. That's insane. But coming back from damage, albeit Ross Chastain has great pace here at 33-1. I just don't think as of recent he's got the race winning pace. Both of them
are plus 110. So 1 point plus 110 to get top 10s. Yes. Just want to throw that out there for the listeners.
Oh, absolutely. And those guys you could totally look at for those and that's plus money for a top 10 for very regular guys that can finish well. So and momentum is behind those two as well. They had great runs at Watkins Glen as well, coming off top 10 finishes. And I count that going into Richmond as well. Others I always have to throw out Carson Hocevar, who did win the truck race 2 years ago now. 45-1. And then you look at Alex Bowman at 40-1. I mean, he's won this race before in 2020 while I was at that race. And he went on that tear in 2021 where he won Dover, Richmond, all these other tracks, Pocono somehow after Kyle Larson blowing a tire. But, I mean, 40-1 for former winner is great as well. Other guys, again, like Ty Gibbs at 55-1. He's the bottom of the totem pole there. If Corey Heim will make the race this week, last time we talked, he missed. So, but he's gonna make the race at 11.
Jeez, I felt so bad because I was on here before Chicago, and I was like, "Look at Corey Heim, man! It's like plus."
You were tweeting him out too.
Top 10. It's like plus. What was it like? Plus 600,
5-1, whatever.
It was like 5-1. Yeah. Oh my god.
Ended up being Austin Hill anyway.
Be great, man. Yeah. And then I think I to my.
You picked Austin Hill too, though.
Austin Hill. We did pick Austin Hill. We picked a lot of guys, but Corey Heim was like, "Oh, he's gonna be great," and didn't even make the race.
Josh Balicki and Catherine Legg outqualified him, and before they changed the rules, like, oh god,
man.
I'm about to say the one big thing though, and same thing with those who bet Connor Zelich when he did get the unfortunate shoulder injury, is when someone drops out of the race one way or the other, you get those bets back. Your
really?
Allocation back. Yeah, most books do that.
What's so funny is I actually was considering betting on Connor Zelich for Watkins Glen the Cup race because I knew that
he was my pick. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I was telling Brian, I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't place my bet because I didn't think he'd get out of the race.
The other guys, not going to mention any of them past the Corey Heim at 110-1 odds, that is. But yeah, like everyone else down there, it's got to take a miracle, I feel.
You mentioned all that, but did you mention Brad Keselowski? I can't. You mentioned RFK.
I mentioned RFK. Yeah.
I think you glossed. I feel like you meant to, but like we went to Chris Buescher
with Elliott and
right
for sure.
Yeah,
but he deserved some flowers though.
I'm looking at that bet and like I would put him over guys like Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney, maybe even Byron. Like I mean, because this is a guy. This is past winner at Richmond, multi-time past winner at Richmond, and he's 16-1. Not to mention he's having a really good last few weeks. I mean, honestly, was going to win Iowa. if it wasn't for, that fuel strategy and all those cautions occurring and giving Byron the edge, Brad Keselowski was going to win that race. And I think he is. You mentioned it earlier, like Iowa's a place to look at when it comes to comparison with Richmond, and he was going to win that race. I think that was maybe the first race this year that I could sit there and say Brad Keselowski should have won that race. And honestly, this is a track that he's good at. This track he's got a lot of past success at. Track that RFK has past success at. Wouldn't be surprised if we see RFK up there leading a lot of laps.
That moved me enough to move one off my list and put him up there, because I think just reminding me about Iowa, and I was there watching it, and I'm sitting there with actual live bets at Iowa, like, holy crap, Brad Keselowski's about to wreck my card. And good for him. I must say, I would have been good for him too. Like, he had a damn near perfect race. If Iowa was passable, if he could pass at Iowa, which he was one of the few who could early before it kind of got rubbered in and we got into the situation. He got into the situation he was in. I think if you go to Richmond, I mean, you could pass there, and Keselowski just rockets away from the field like he did a couple times in that race. And 16-1, that shows that the books paid attention to Iowa a lot and gave him a really good evaluation for this race. And previously too, him and Buescher fought for the win in 2023 as well. So I'm moved. I'm gonna go ahead and just lead off Keselowski straight into my card right now. And the guy you have to have on your card, regardless of where he's at on his number, I think you got to have Denny Hamlin, regardless of where he's at. Favorite at 4-1, sure. Put 3 units on him, sure. He's a threat to win this race year in and year out. And now that there's only one race to worry about, I think you put even more of a resource in there, especially with fighting for the regular season championship right now for that team. I think they put in the effort, and they'll be a contender to win this race. And I'll go back even to the other 2 RFK guys of Buescher and Preece. I think one of those guys, I mean, Preece also had a great run at Iowa. It took a lot of help from Cautions to get him up there, but I think if he has a good qualifying and he's finished top 5 here in Stewart-Haas Racing Equipment before, top 10s multiple times at this track as well, Ryan Preece is a no-brainer for this track as well. And then Chris Buescher, again, former winner. I've already mentioned it ad nauseum for Chris Buescher. He's in must-win territory, I think, as well, especially if Brad Keselowski is going to be one of those guys that challenges. And then one of those RCR guys have to be on this list, and I'm going to just say back-to-back Austin Dillon, ? At 50-1. That's just an easy half-unit bet there, and just forget to even put it on until he's leading in the closing lap somehow, some way, with the speed that he showed at this track last season. So, and Dillon, not even that year, because Dillon's had impressive runs at Richmond in the past too. This is legitimately one of his tracks, like you said, that this is something he could win once again. So give me Austin Dillon, but I would not be surprised to see Kyle Busch fighting up there as well, because this is also a track that he could unlock his potential at as well with that RCR equipment. Dalton, who do you got on your card?
Well, I'll be honest. I think we're looking at, we mentioned a lot of guys. I agree. You got to put Hamlin on there. Got to put Hamlin on there. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Going down, Byron, he looks good. Obviously, looked great at Iowa. Maybe he's a guy to consider. I don't know. Like, look, Byron's one of those guys that, like, he feels like he's good everywhere. It's just he needs everything to go right for him. And I feel like everything went right for him at Iowa with all those cautions. Richmond,
the fuel, man.
The fuel, yeah, but I could feel like I could see maybe something potentially occurring there at Richmond and things going his way. Chase Briscoe, I think, is on there as well. 15-1. I like Chase. I think he's looked really good this year. He's looked really great these last few weeks. I honestly, I wish you could. I'm sure you could. You could probably bet on who wins the poll, and I bet Chase Briscoe would probably be the favorite. So,
4-1, right?
yeah, probably be maybe even like 3-1. Like I'd put Chase,
Jeez.
but this is going to be a track position race. I could probably see Chase Briscoe looking really great. Brad Keselowski, already mentioned him. We just mentioned him recently, 16-1. I put Brad Keselowski on there. I've already mentioned why, and then that's when we get to the RCR guys. And you said Austin Dillon. I like him too. And I think it's a good pick. But for the sake of diversity of our picks, I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch instead. I think Kyle. We're in the last two races before the playoffs. You remember what happened last year when it was two races left. Kyle Busch finished second in both of those races, both at Darlington and Daytona, or Daytona and Darlington, finished second in both of those races. And I don't see, I don't know what possessed him to suddenly have the speed that he did to pull that off, but he made it happen. I don't see why he couldn't make it happen here either. He could definitely do it here at Richmond, or he could definitely do it at Richmond this weekend. So I'm going to put Kyle Busch on there also.
Oh, for sure. And you want to know for the viewers, Chase Briscoe's pull outright plus 270 via Bet Rivers.
There you go.
It's the only market that I do.
There you go. 2.7 to 1.
2.7 to 1 is insane. So, no, I mean, I'm just, what a way to lead into that with both Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe. I'll say Busch's top 10 prop is surprising at plus 135. In the plus money for that. And, I mean, Dylan's not far behind, but I think you can have a more surefire bet in Kyle Busch getting a consistent result. As long as he doesn't get into a spin or just overcorrects or something, that 8 car is surely in like 6 races at Richmond in the past, he's top 10 in 3 of them. So that's good. I think that's good coin flip odds that you get for a little bit of an extra boost. Briscoe's top 5 is plus 180, and he's top 5 in what? The last 4 races, it seemed like. I want to get an official number on that before I commit to that. But Briscoe has been dominant everywhere we've gone, whether it's on the pole. He's been so close to the win, tantalizingly close, in the words of Lee Diffie, that I mean, he could. I do like the race winning pick for him as well. I think, again, you take it now versus when he inevitably gets another pole. So, and that also goes for his top 3 or even his top 5 prop as well. And I'd put 2 units on his top 5 there. Chris Buescher, I've already mentioned for the race win. His top 5 is plus 350. I think that's way over what it should be at that number. 3.5 to 1, just the top 5 is a great number as well. And finally, I will go with a Josh Berry top 10. He's the guy I was going to mention already on my card before the Keselowski call out, which I think just makes too much sense. But Berry has been great on this track and at short tracks all season. You get 1.5 to 1 odds for him to get the top 10. That's another great odd to go with as well. Who do you got your eye on for a potential prop pick for this week, Dalton?
Well, I'll tell you what. So going down it, look, Brad Keselowski, the first one that catches my eye. Plus, I think plus 210 for a top 5, and I don't see why that would be an issue. Look, Iowa, I think it was a 3rd place finish for Brad at Iowa. I don't see why you can't replicate that here. There's some comparisons to Iowa to here. I can see Brad easily getting a top 5. I expect him to be running up front for most of the race. If he's not leading, he's going to be in the top 5. So I can definitely see that for sure. I feel like that's a steal there. You looking at Kyle Busch also plus 480 for a top 5 finish. Also, you know what? And let me go ahead and just for the sake of it, let me see what a top 10 looks like for Kyle Busch. I wouldn't be surprised. He's okay. I still haven't gotten to him. Maybe I might have overlooked him already.
I'm about to say he's plus 135.
Yes, I see it too now. Plus 135. Yeah, okay. So I mean, he's the first one that's not a minus pick actually. So there's some positives there to get to look at Kyle Busch for a top 10, and I could see that. I could definitely see him running in the top 10 for that. So Those two guys off the top of my list. Going down a little bit farther, let's take a look here. How about this? Here you go. Carson Hocevar plus 700, 7-1 for a top five
What?
finish. That's right.
Oh, top 5. Okay.
Top five plus
Yeah.
700
Okay.
for a top five finish. And I see it. I see that. I can kind of see that happening. This could be like a weird race that we end up seeing Carson get like a weird runner-up finish. Carson, I don't know what it is. It's just the randomest tracks. He just shows up and just runs really well and then just refuses to elaborate. So I could see a plus 700, maybe a top 4, like a 4th place finish for Carson Hocevar, a near win experience, maybe some chaos at the end of the race. Maybe he bumps a guy out of the way, just a few people out of the way. I guarantee if we could place a bet on if Carson Hocevar would piss somebody off in this race, I would take it without a doubt. It'd probably be minus too, so it'd probably be a minus prop. So
what are those weird markets? Whatever.
Yeah, one of those weird betting markets. Yeah,
the Katashi markets or whatever it's
right.
called.
Yeah, something like that. The ones that you could like bet on the presidential election or something.
Carson Hocevar pisses off another driver.
Yeah, but plus 700 for a top 5 finish. I like that too. And you know what? I'll do one more because this one is even more obvious to me. Ryan Preece plus 500 for a top 5 finish. I want to take that so bad. Modified racer, short track specialist, modified champion, which is
top 5 at Iowa.
Yeah, top 5 at Iowa. You're right, and had a chance to win there. So it had the freshest tires at the end. Honestly, another caution, I could see him getting up to the front and winning. So this could be a race for Ryan Preece as well. He could shine.
Yeah, I mean, in that episode too for Iowa, I had him top 10 and top 5 for a combo, and that's just straight money. And then I think in real life, I didn't have time to tweet it out before the race, but I had Bowman and then, weirdly enough, Bowman and then Preece, who both got penalized for speeding at the start of the race, for a parlay to top 10. I believe it was top 10 or not top 5. It was a top 10 parlay to go all the way. So that was great. So I see it for Preece, and honestly, he's probably the first prop off my list currently. It doesn't mean I won't tweet out and say, hey, y'all probably take this, because I think just in general, that even if he qualifies bad, the 60 car is going to find its way to the front one way or the other, whether it's a top 5 or a top 10. So my money would certainly be on Ryan Preece, maybe later on in the week. Just tune in for that. Lastly, I'm going to look quickly at the truck series, and there's a lot of players, like if you look at it in this race, whether you got Chandler Smith, who just seems to have this track by the reins. You have Corey Heim, who is Corey Heim. Ty Majeski, who owns this track as well. Lane Riggs, who's came into the picture. Hell, you even have Christian Eckes making a truck series start in this as well before they get into the playoffs. I think the one guy that I mentioned of all those guys is Chandler Smith, because again, at 6.5 to 1 odds off FanDuel, you cannot ignore this guy at this certain track. He's had only one start here, and he won here in the truck series. Went to the Xfinity series, won here with Colleague, won here with Joe Gibbs. He's trying to defend his territory in this racetrack for the truck series and just in general here in NASCAR. And Richmond is his strongest track on the schedule, no doubt about it. I think it's crazy that he's 4th odds according to DraftKings. It might be the same on FanDuel. Yep, it tied for 4th with Eckes as well there. That's incredible that he's not one of the like 3 to 1 favorites or even the 4 to 1 category with Ty Majeski. Chandler Smith to get a win in this and go into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum, I think is on the cards for this weekend. Dalton, what's your thoughts on what could happen Friday night?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised Corey Heim's the favorite. Not surprised by that at all. But yeah, I'm surprised that Front Row Motorsports is not 2nd and 3rd, considering the monopoly they've had on the short tracks. I get Ty Majeski, and he's like a short track late model racer, and that's fine. But Yeah, I agree. Chandler Smith, man, what was it, plus 650 over there on FanDuel? Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Um, I feel like he should be a lot higher than that, at least third on the list. But who I'm looking at is Christian Eckes. I know it's a return to the Truck Series, but look, he's going to be with McAnally Racing. On DraftKings, I'm looking at right now is plus 650. I'm sure. I don't know if you've got a different number than I do on FanDuel, but
Nope, same 650 on FanDuel as well.
exact same. Okay, yeah. Look, Christian Eckes. I mean, we're coming. It's kind of funny because like he's fifth, but like he hasn't raced a single truck race the whole year, if I'm not mistaken, and he is coming back with McAnally Racing, which is the team that if we had a season long points format, like a regular season long points format, Christian Eckes would have been the champion last year with his 4 wins with Bill McAnally Racing, and I am surprised that he has not. He's not higher than that right now, and I could see him running really well in that number 16 truck, that one-off start that he's got with McAnally. So I'm excited to see. I think the last time we saw a driver, like a championship caliber Truck Series driver, come back and do a one-off race with a team that he he almost won a championship with. What was it, Brett? I think it was Brett Moffitt. I'm thinking of back in Talladega in 2023. He won that race. So
at the track,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the same race that Matt Crafton got a sucker punch from, or no, Nick Sanchez got a sucker punch from Matt Crafton. So yeah. But no, I like Christian Eckes as well.
Dalton, where can people find you, and tell them what you got, especially a couple nights ago with Tommy Joe Martins on Happy Hour.
Yeah, you can check out that episode wherever you get your Front Stretch podcasts. We spoke with Tommy Joe Martins, and spoke to is a little bit is just kind of putting it lightly. He mostly like spoke at us for the whole hour, which is
Sound
fine.
Like you're getting lectured,
which is fine. Well, it kind of was, but that's fine. That's fine. That's what we want. We want our guests to be talking a lot and giving us their opinions, and which he did. So, it was a really good episode. He gave us a lot of insight on the stuff. So you can check that out on wherever you get your podcast for Front Stretch, and that's the Happy Hour podcast that came out two days ago, and then you can check out Thinking Out Loud coming out this weekend. Pending on whether or not it'll be Saturday night or Sunday morning, we'll see. Probably going to be either early Sunday morning or just Sunday morning. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Thinking Out Loud will be after the race this weekend. I
got 2 words for you: grassy Sonoma.
Oh man,
grassy
make it happen!
Sonoma.
Make it happen! And I saw a comment that was
make
like,
it happen.
I saw a comment that was like, oh well, it could be, it could be kind of wet. It gets wet on the West Coast, and it's like, great,
make it wet and grassy. That's
make
so
it
much
wet and
better.
Grassy. That's awesome.
Take that out of context if you want. I don't care. Give me grassy, wet, whatever Sonoma in the spring. Love it all the way. That was a great listen for sure.
I just noticed we're both wearing our SEC team shirts.
Yeah, hey,
right now,
college football season. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey,
I can't wait. I can't wait, man.
Hey, DJ Lagway, Willis High School. Went to.
Oh, no kidding. Oh yeah.
Now went to the private school like a mile down the road. So good luck to y'all on that end. It beat the hell out of whoever the hell you play, except for A&M. I don't think we play each other.
Except for A&M. I don't know if you guys are on our schedule this year.
We kicked your ass last year though, low key.
But this year. Lagway's getting started. DJ's is getting started.
I hope Lagway low-key wins the Heisman. That would be nuts. But yeah,
that's good.
College football. Also check out Dalton's interview on Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle as well. With Charles Denicky. Did I get that right?
I've heard Denicky. I've heard Denike. I've said Denique. So let's go with Denique. no one's corrected
Denique.
me.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, please, don't take it out of context either. So that one don't take out of context. Charles Denique, great. I'm about to say it's a great story and a great interview as well there. And also Caleb Barnes guesting on that show as well. Check out the Pit Straight with Alex Gentz and Brian Nolan, as well as Tom Blackburn, who talked all about Portland. Which what a race for Will Power there, and Alex Palou, your 4-time IndyCar Series champion. And then check out Stock Car Scoop once again with Caleb Barnes. Don't know who he has this week, but we'll serve up some good reactions to Richmond Raceway this Saturday night. So check it out that day, not Sunday, Saturday night. I'm Wyatt Watson. That's Dalton Hopkins. Thanks again for joining us for a great episode of Through the Gears. Let's make some money at the action track at Richmond Raceway.